Welcome to the June Garden Calendar. In this episode, we will look at what plants will be blooming, what needs fertilizing, what to prune and spray. We'll look at what vegetables to plant for the upcoming summer months, and a brief segment on lawn care. We will discuss setting up a drip irrigation system and wrap up with a segment on basic canning and preservation methods for your fruits and vegetables. All this and more in this episode of the June Garden Calendar. Plants in flower for the month of June are southern magnolia, golden rain tree, mimosa, smoke tree, native rhododendron, oak leaf hydrangea, sweet azalea and others, gardenia, roses, summer spirea, yucca, gumbo and Suzuki azaleas, trumpet creeper, phlox, butterfly weed, daylily, balloon flower, coreopsis, poppy, canna, red hot poker, rose of Sharon, summer annuals, and many more. On fertilizing this month, you need to fertilize or side dress your vegetables as needed, and then add lime to your tomato plants in a slurry. It's a great way to get it dissolved and get it readily to plants. As we get into June, we get hot weather, so what we'll need to do is water your favorite plants during periods of dry weather. Water early in the morning. Watering late in the day encourages plant disease growth. You don't want to do that. Vegetable gardens need at least 1 inch of water per week. And then you'll need to harvest your crops on a regular basis to keep plants producing properly. So to help with your irrigation, whether you're using drip line or a soaker hose, anything like that, is a timer, a water timer. So you just hook this up to your water hose. If you have well water that's dirty, you might need a filter, but you can also get a reducer to reduce the pressure coming to it if it's too strong. But you just set it up to what time of the day that you want the water spigot to come on and how long you want the water to run. This particular one has 2 outside lines. It has 2 zones, so I can program zone 1, which goes to my front porch container plants, to run about 10 minutes every morning, because those tend to dry out. Then I've got another zone, which is zone 2, that goes to the plants in the back of the house, which just has some drip lines around a couple beds, and I just set that to about 5 minutes every morning. So just a nice water timer can solves a lot of your watering needs where you don't have to hand water every day. As far as pruning goes for the month of June, late June is the recommended time to prune white pine. Trim the new growth only. Prune narrow leaf evergreens like juniper and arborvitae. Prune the big leaf hydrangea when the flowers fade. Trim hedges as needed. Remove water sprouts on any fruit tree or crabapple. Cut off the faded flowers of phlox, Shasta daisy, and daylily to encourage a second flowering. Trim dried up foliage of your spring flowering bulbs. Pinch your mums to encourage branching. Continue to prune your spring flowering shrubs such as hydrangeas, roses, and rhododendrons. Prune out dieback on hybrid rhododendron, azalea, mountain laurel, and blueberry. far as spraying goes in the month of June, we need to spray for Japanese beetles or pick them off and put them in soapy water. If insect pests are observed in the garden, treat them as needed. Treat the cucumber for cucumber beetle if you see them. Squash, you might look for squash borers and aphids. Tomatoes and eggplants, look for flea beetles. Broccoli, cabbage, and cauliflower, look for worms. You can use a BT, an organic spray, or other. Keep spraying your tree fruits and bunch grapes with a protected spray program. Spray herbicides on the following woody weeds: poison ivy, honeysuckle, and kudzu. Watch for powdery mildew on crepe, myrtle, and roses, and apply fungicide when necessary. And check your tomato plants for early blight regularly, and be prepared to apply fungicide at frequent intervals. Use pesticide sparingly and spray only when needed. If you have to spray, spray when no blooms are present, and spray in the evening when bees are not active. Now let's talk a little bit about pollinator gardens. Pollinators are essential to the survival of many flowering plants, prompting the production of over 85% of our food and fiber producing crops. A pollinator is any animal, most often insects like bees or butterflies, that carry pollen from the male to the female parts of flowers for reproduction, usually while feeding and flying from plant to plant. While wind, water, and other factors contribute to plant pollination, most flowering plants rely on birds, bees, and butterflies, among others. Likewise, each and every one of us depends on productive pollinators to help provide us with the food we eat. More than 3/4 of the world's flowering plants, including fruits and vegetables, depend on animal pollinators. Pollinators have been in decline as they struggle to overcome habitat loss, new diseases, pollution, and other factors. Healthy, abundant pollinator populations play a vital role in our food systems and in prompting biodiversity. Plant pollinators, honeybees, are perhaps the best known pollinators, but a variety of birds and insects help pollinate plants as well. Some of our pollinators are bees, beetles, butterflies, hummingbirds, moths, wasps, and even flies. As far as pollinator-friendly plants go, the following provides examples of plants that attract pollinators. For best results, make sure you select a wide variety of native plants that include something blooming at all times. Some examples are anise hyssop, asters, bee balm, black-eyed Susan, blazing star, coneflower, daisy, goldenrod, Joe Pye weed, milkweed, mountain mint, sunflower, swamp rose, blueberries, hawthorn, and others. Here are some tips on how your own garden can protect pollinators such as bees. First, incorporate many different kinds of flowers to support a variety of pollinators. Avoid flower cultivars with so many petals that bees can't access the pollen or nectar. Plan for bloom times from early spring through frost. Late summer is the most critical. Provide habitat like ornamental grasses for your cavity-dwelling bees that overwinter in the stems, and leave some bare ground in the garden for ground nesting bees. A good place is under woody plants. Bees get thirsty too, so provide a watering station such as a bird bath filled with rocks so they can hydrate safely. Any size pollinator garden helps. You'll have the best results with a pollinator garden in full sun. As far as planting goes for June, plant these following vegetables in your garden: pepper, sweet potato, melons, pumpkins, tomatoes, beans, peas. If planting pole beans or sugar peas, cucumbers, certain types of squash, also consider providing a trellis or a vertical structure to help keep those plants off the ground and save gardening space.
It's that time of the year again where you start thinking about what to preserve and store up for the winter. Food starts to spoil the moment it is harvested. Learning how to preserve your own food is especially beneficial when you have an abundance of fruits and vegetables that you've grown in your garden. Canning favorite and special products to be enjoyed by family and friends is a fulfilling experience and a source of pride for many people. The advantage of home preservation is lost when you start with poor quality fresh foods, when jars fail to seal properly, when food spoils, and when flavor, texture, color, and nutrients deteriorate due to improper preservation techniques. There are two safe ways of canning depending on the type of food being canned. These are the boiling water bath canner method and the pressure canner method. The type of food that you plan to can is going to help you determine which type of canning method to use. The boiling water bath method is safe for foods that are high in acidity such as tomatoes and pickles, as well as jams and jellies and other fruit preserve. In this method, jars are filled with food or submerged in a pot of boiling water. The second method is pressure canning, which can be used for either high or low acid food, but is required for low acidic food. A pressure canner is a special pot with a lid that can be locked tightly. There's a gauge on the lid that either looks like little small knobs or that has a dial, like this one, for showing the pressure. There's a specific reason as to why we have two methods. We do need to heat canned food to at least 212 degrees Fahrenheit because it destroys other spoilage organisms, including yeast, mold, and most bacteria, and some type of bacteria that cause foodborne illnesses like Salmonella and E. coli. This is what boiling water bath canner is good for. Pressure canner is required for low acid food because there's no acid to kill the C. botulinum spores, which means that the temperature has to get even hotter than boiling to kill them. The only way we know how to do this in a home situation is to use a pressure canner. Pressure canner works by creating pressure that causes temperature inside the canner to increase to very high numbers. Research tells us that low acid canned foods need to reach temperatures of 240 to 250 degrees Fahrenheit to kill C. botulinum spores. They've got to stay at these temperatures for specific periods of time so we know that the spores don't survive. Both can be done safely as long as the right procedures follow for each, and they are used for canning the right foods. In canning and food preservation, high acidic means a pH of below or equal to 4.6. If you've taken some basic science classes, you'll remember that acidic foods have low numbers on the pH scale of 1 to 14. A pH of 7 is considered neutral, such as water. If you're trying to figure out which method to use, here are some helpful tips to remember by. All fruits are high acidic foods except for figs, tomatoes, which are technically a fruit, and melon. Be careful with tomatoes because they're right along that line of being acidic and not acidic due to the new varieties that are out there. If you plan to can tomatoes with the boiling water bath method, add 2 tablespoons of lemon juice to the jar to help lower the acidity. This should not affect the taste of your tomatoes. Fermented foods, such as sauerkraut or fermented cabbage, are also high in acid. We can also make non-acidic food high acid by adding an acid to them or acidifying them. Pickled foods, such as this one, are one of those examples. The acid is added is mostly vinegar. Low acid food, on the other hand, has a pH of above 4.6 and includes all vegetables except rhubarb, meat and poultry, seafood, soup, mixture of canned foods such as salsa because they have peppers, onions, and garlics that are low acidic, and tomatoes which are high acidic. It's extremely important that you use credible sources when canning and to make sure that you follow that recipe to the T. Some credible sources include the Center for Home Food Preservation online and the So Easy to Preserve book that I have here. Lastly, if you have a dial gauge pressure canner such as this one, remember to test the gauge for accuracy each year before using it. You can get your dial gauge tested at any extension office here in North Carolina. For more information around canning or which recipe to use, please call our office at 828-632-3125.
As far as lawn care goes for the month of June, do not fertilize your tall fescue and bluegrass now. Mow your grass, but no shorter than 3 to 4 inches in height. Vary your directions when mowing your lawn if possible. Continue to treat your broadleaf weeds in the lawn. And brown patch arrives in June in cool season lawns, so mow it when grass is dry to help with preventing this problem. Well, we hope you've enjoyed our garden calendar. If you have questions, call us at 632-4451 or visit us at our website at alexanderextension.com, where there's lots of helpful information and events, and you can also sign up for a monthly newsletter there. That's alexanderextension.com, or stop by and visit us at the Alexander County Service Center at 151 West Main Avenue. Hope to hear from you soon.